Thank Mary Ann for that. I got busy and.
But I hear that, but you already know.
Well, time to saddle
But I
up.
think it's important for you guys always that in mind and use it as a resource.
12:30.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's April the 13th, and this will be due to the COVID-19 pandemic and current state of the emergency. In-person attendance by the public is not permitted. Public is permitted to listen, view, and attend the meetings electronically by visiting the Board of Supervisors page on the county website. So the Board of Supervisors may, during the session, by motion, recess into executive session to receive legal advice. And we'll go on to the only item on the regular agenda, which is the update from the County Public Health Director to the Board of Supervisors regarding recent issues, actions, events, and county responses regarding COVID-19, and taking any necessary actions based on the updates.
Chairman Bishop, can we verify who's on the line?
That's a good idea. Please do.
Supervisor Angus?
Here.
Supervisor Johnson?
Thank you for caring about me. I'm here.
Supervisor Gould? Supervisor Gould? Okay, we're still okay. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Denise.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just wanted to provide you with an update as of today. We have what you see on our, well, actually, let me step back because I know there's a reporting discrepancy, and so I think that needs to be explained as to why there is a reporting discrepancy and how that could be corrected in the future. So this discrepancy can be very confusing, but it's really the result of case information. First off, it's a matter of the fact that ADHS and Mojave County have different reporting schemes and timelines, and so that becomes really the crux of the issue. We receive information overnight, and that information is brought up in the morning by our nursing staff. We begin the investigation, and we go through our process before we actually ever report a case. ADHS, however, includes, they update their website at 9 o'clock every morning, and that number that you see is based on a cutoff of 5 o'clock the previous day. So they have these parameters, basically, the structure that they've set up, which helps the public, when they look at those numbers, know that those numbers are based on a 5 o'clock time frame the day before. So for us, for Mojave County, we update our numbers continuously throughout a day, but the lag may come from the fact that we have an internal process where we need to be sure that even though those numbers, that positive case is entered into a MedSys database, which is what healthcare providers put those lab results into. So once they're reported there, the patient has to be notified. In addition, we receive the lab results from that particular case and verify that information. And then we go through our internal notification process to ensure everybody's brought up to speed on the number of cases and new cases. And then our communications manager, director, drafts that press release that goes out, and then we update our website, and not until that point, till it's been vetted all the way through. So with that, what you see is this continual lag time of our processes and what it takes to work our case internally, and ADHS is really just working off of a MedSys database number that's updated from the day before. So my recommendation moving forward, if it's possible, would be to align and link our website to the ADHS website so that we can have sort of those same parameters for updating that ADHS does. And that may make it a little bit easier for people to see the actual numbers. They won't be in real time, which I recognize, but you can see it's hard for us to make them real time anyway. And the work behind the scenes that it takes to make that happen takes up a lot of staff time. And it's staff time that at this point we can be dedicating to other activities. And that would be very helpful for us. Any questions?
Madam Chair?
Supervisor Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess my question is, I have no problem with us having a higher number than the state has because I understand the reporting, but like this morning, they had 40 cases and we only are listing 36. Do you know why that is?
I do, yes. Thank you, Supervisor Johnson. The reason is that overnight, from 5 o'clock, the cutoff at the end of the day yesterday to today, there were 4 additional cases reported in MedSys, which is that database, right? And so when our nurses came in this morning, those are the cases we started working on, in addition to some others that reported after 5 o'clock on their end, on the ADHS end. So we're reconciling both yesterday's end-of-day report from ADHS right before that 5 o'clock time frame, and we're also reconciling what came in this morning as far as cases, and those won't be reported until tomorrow morning in the ADHS website because of that 5 o'clock timeline, right? Because they're capturing cases right now, and their cutoff will be 5 o'clock today, and then tomorrow at 9 o'clock they'll refresh, and those new numbers will post. Does that make sense, Supervisor Johnson?
Yes, that makes sense, and I understand that, but I don't see how they're getting more cases than we have. I guess that's the question I have when I'm trying to explain to the public how,
Sure.
We report to them and then they report it, but now they're showing 40 cases and we only have 36. That was what bothered me.
So I'm sorry, so I wasn't clear. The numbers that ADHS are reporting are directly from MedSys, and we do not report those numbers to them. Those are from healthcare providers and hospitals. So it's where people are being tested. They enter that information into MedSys. And then once that happens, we're notified after the fact. So if ADHS gets those, receives that information, it uploads it, right? They have it, but it doesn't mean the patient has been notified, and it doesn't mean these other steps have been taken. So what you're seeing is that overnight they got 4 cases, or right before 5 o'clock yesterday, they got 5 cases. When our nurses came in, or 4 cases, those 4 cases came into our system, in our queue, to be acted upon. So that's why they show 40, because those came in right before the 5 o'clock hour, so we weren't notified until this morning. We didn't receive that notification until staff came in this morning of those additional 4 cases.
So the board is just now being notified of additional 4 cases?
Well, there's actually more than 4 cases. Our staff are going to be working on them right now. And I think this is going to continue to be the issue, is we're becoming not overwhelmed, but I think we're incredibly busy responding to these case counts now, and it's going to be harder and harder for us to really kind of keep up to date and keep you all up to date on those cases as they come in, versus maybe trying to provide you with a daily total of this is what happened today, and we can set a deadline as to, what that includes.
So I guess my other question would be then, the hospitals and labs, I guess, are not required to provide that information to you, the person who's supposed to be quarantining people?
We do get that information, but we get it through MedSys. So that's the central database that they enter information into. And then once that becomes, once we're notified that there's a case in there, we start our process on our end. But that may...
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. It just seems a little, I guess, not appropriate on their part to be putting numbers out until you've been notified personally.
Right. Yes. It makes...
That's all.
Right. I understand your concern there, and I can see where, for us, it becomes, at least in part, a credibility issue. If we're unable to keep up with those numbers and have them matching, then it seems like we're behind in our work, and we're not. But it's just, our steps take a little bit longer internally to go through, and we don't actually change our website until we're done with that process.
All right, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all.
So Denise, these internal steps, once we get notified through the database, then our internal steps is, I'm assuming we do an investigation and we contact the person that's been confirmed and try to find out where they've been and whether or not any other members or friends have been infected.
We do.
Exposed.
But I can tell you the first few steps that we do before we get to that, before we even get to that case investigation, that we complete before we actually change our number. The first is that we ensure that the patient has been notified. That's first and foremost. We don't report anything unless a patient's received notification, and sometimes that may require us to follow up with a provider or a hospital to ensure that. The second is we request the lab results, and then we review those results and verify the result of the lab that it is positive. At that point, that's when you all are notified and Byron. So Byron's notified. We make sure that you all are aware of the case or cases that are out there. And then we work with Roger on the press release, and then we continue through that flow, our internal flow, to where that once that's released, then we send that information out to the media, and then our website can be updated at that point.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
I know it's been suggested, and what I saw very, very recently is it's difficult for press releases to keep up with the data that's coming in. And one of the things that I suggested was to have one press release a day, and I don't see that happening. But since this is a board meeting to discuss the coronavirus, I was curious if the board believed that it was important to actually send notices out on each and every case, or can we back that off and put our resources in a different area to notify of what's occurring once a day? I also believe that no news is good news, and regardless of if there's no cases, that needs to be reported also. Mm-hmm. So has that been discussed, and what direction are you taking on that?
Well, my direction so far has been to continue as we've been doing, which is to do every press release, every case a press release or a grouping in some cases like you saw last night. So that's been my direction so far.
And Madam Chairman, I've been reluctant to actually put my foot down and issue that directive without knowing if the board felt it valuable to issue press releases on each and every individual case and not go to the once-a-day press release. Also, one of the things that I had discussed and wanted you all to look into, and wanted the communications director to look into, is to move not away from saying wash your hands, but move more towards what the state directive is on sheltering in place. And I don't see that at all in our press releases. I don't see social distancing in our press releases. I see brush your teeth, don't shake hands, blah, blah, blah. But has that been discussed also? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those topics have been discussed, and I've been working with Roger and Barbara to get that information entered into our press releases.
Because I believe I've been asking for that for about a week or more.
A week or more, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Johnson.
I believe that, especially with our numbers being so low, that we need to continue to update as we get the cases. I don't see where the putting out of, we have 5 new cases, 3 are in Kingman, 45 to 64, they're quarantined or they're in the hospital, 2 in Lake Havasu. Takes up that much time, and I think it really helps to keep the public informed. That's all.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Angus.
I kind of disagree with Supervisor Johnson. Can you hear me? I
Yes.
think that it would behoove us to do just one. It's confusing. People are posting it, and then when people don't see it, they're saying, why didn't you update? I think if everyone knew it was just going to come one a day, I don't think there's any other place that's just dripping it every time there's a new case. I think psychologically it's bad, frankly. So I would really be in favor of just one press release a day. And I was thinking, because we did talk about this before, so I think we even said maybe around 3 to 4 o'clock, maybe 4 o'clock towards the end of the day, so we can still get it out there. I just don't see the necessity of it.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Angus.
I have another question, though, on a different topic.
Okay, go ahead.
On the web page, on the county test results, so we have tests performed, negative pending, and then the confirmed cases, and they don't add up, the numbers.
Okay.
And you know, there was a time they were updated today, but they weren't updated from, I think, Thursday, and that was confusing too, because I kept saying, well, you know, we still have them pending, but they've come in back. And I've gotten questions about it as well.
Okay. And this is on our county webpage, correct?
Yeah, on the coronavirus response, where we have all those like test performed, negative pending, then the confirmed case locations, then by age, by gender, and all that information is great. It's just right now, even the numbers aren't adding up.
Okay.
So if you have 467 performed, the negative pending and confirmed should all equal the test performed,
Right.
and they don't.
Okay. I will follow up on that. Thank you for that
Okay,
observation. I'll make sure we check on that.
thank you.
Supervisor Gold, are you on the line yet?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
just to get a clarification from Supervisor Johnson, what was being suggested is not to stop the notification of the board members when there are cases, to continue to do that. What was suggested and what was relayed by Supervisor Angus, the way I understood it, was to just issue a press release regarding the cumulative over the day, and that would happen around 4 o'clock for specific reasons. Basically, that's it would make the newspaper and the radio and so forth and so on.
Okay, well.
Thank you, Manager Hendrick. I understood that, but the newspaper, I think their deadline is either 2 or 2:30. And if we have, let's say after 5, 8 of them come in, we wouldn't hear again until 5 o'clock the next day, plus adding all the rest. One thing if we get up to, say, 100, and then everybody gets the idea that it's a pandemic, but right now I think we still have quite a few people that don't believe this is a crisis in Mojave County.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay. Any further comments? Any motions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you,
Madam
Denise.
Chair, I have a couple questions.
Okay. We will not adjourn.
I
then.
thought she was still had updates to give, but my questions are: these people who are being sent home for 2 weeks, is that the length of the virus? Are they supposedly all well at that time?
Supposedly, yes. The symptoms will have resolved within that 2-week time frame. And if not, if the symptoms have not resolved in that time frame, then those individuals will be expected to quarantine additional days until they are.
Okay, have we been given any information that there's different strains of this virus?
You know, we have had Very limited discussions of that, actually. Ron Balsamo, our EH manager, brought that up this morning. And I think we're just in the very beginning stages of learning that there may be additional strains of that, but we don't have any real detail on that yet.
Okay, I guess those are my only questions. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
And, Madam Chairman, it appears that I've got a split, not that it's a great thing, unless we get direction from the board to go to one press release a day, we're going to continue to just so the health department's clear, there will be no direction to deviate from what we're currently doing. So we will continue, unless we get direction otherwise from the board, to send out press releases as frequently as we possibly can.
Madam Chair?
Supervisor Angus?
Well, maybe we can come to something in between, Supervisor Johnson. So I hear your concern is if a lot come in overnight, then we're waiting till the end of the day. So maybe instead of one, we can have one in the morning and then one. It's just this constant, as they seem to be coming faster. I think it will be more confusing. And more confusing. Well, what is it? Do I have the latest one? And if the press knows that the latest information is going to be, if you want it 2 o'clock, the most, the current one at 2 o'clock, that's the most current one. That's the one they're going to go with. And regardless, there's one more at 8 o'clock at night. I just think it makes it easier for the health department, easier for the PIO, and easier for people to digest all this information. So. I will make a motion. Is that what we need?
If you wish.
To do this? Well, I will make a motion that we go to 2 press releases a day at the time, decided by the PIO, because he works with the media. That's my motion.
Okay, your motion is to limit 2 press releases a day. Time to be considered by the PIO.
Her motion was go to 2 press releases a day with the time to be decided by the PIO to work with the news media. Correct, Hildy?
Yeah, that would be it.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. A discussion, Mike Hendricks.
Madam Chairman, that would be a maximum of 2. If there wasn't a case, if there was one case or not a case, then we'd be reporting 1. Is that the way we understand the motion?
Is that the way you wanted?
People are waiting. Well, so people are waiting. If the news is waiting for the final one at 2, it would seem to me, even if it stays the same, we would have to continue doing those press releases. It would just be the same as the morning.
Did you understand that, Jenny?
Supervisor Angus, just to make sure the motion is clear, it's 2 press releases per day no matter what, or only if information changes?
No matter what.
Thank you. 2 per day.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Okay, seeing no second, the motion dies. Any further discussion? Okay. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.